This weekend, the latest Guy Ritchie film with a star-studded cast hits theaters, so let's talk about it. The Gentleman sees Ritchie returning to his roots with another quirky British crime thriller. Over the last 20 years, Guy Ritchie has been one of the least consistent A-list directors working. His films are all over the place. Some of them are incredibly creative and inventive, and others are just plain awful. Sometimes he's doing Disney live-action remakes, and other times he's making weird romance films on the beach with his wife. So, how's The Gentleman? I'll tell you in just a second. Be sure to tell me your thoughts down below in the comments section. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is this a return to form or just another dud from Ritchie? I'd love to hear your take on it. With that said, let's get started with the good. And I'm very happy to say that for me, this is probably his best film in about 20 years. It's a true return to form. The thing that made him famous was making these highly stylized, underground crime thrillers that are really funny with these quirky characters. And what he manages to do here is not try and copy 30-year-old Guy Ritchie, but he does what he did before with a more mature version of it. It has all the visual style, the quick cuts, all of that fun stuff that we liked before, but it's not the same version of it. He's updated his bag of tricks. The nature of the storytelling is different. Even the age of our lead character is a man that's about the age of Guy Ritchie right now, and that just makes for a nice, refreshing return to the thing that he did before without feeling like he's trying to force all of it. Another great thing about this movie, as well as most of his movies, is he's able to get a great cast here, and with each of these actors, he gives them a fun, odd role that has stuff that just makes for an ensemble of characters that you like watching. You like seeing them in these scenarios, and it just makes for a lot of quotable lines, great memorable little scenes. It's tough to pick standouts because everyone is given so much to have fun with, but some of the ones that stuck out to me would be Hugh Grant. I don't talk about this much on my channel, but I'm actually a huge Hugh Grant fan. I just love his screen presence in his version of charm and charisma. And here you get him doing something pretty different from his usual thing, but it still has all that charm and charisma that I love from him. And then also Charlie Hunnam, who has a lot of back and forth with him, is another standout who I haven't seen Sons of Anarchy. I haven't seen a ton of the stuff that he's done, but this of his roles is definitely my personal favorite thing that he's done, because he has great rapport in those dialogue scenes, and then you get these other ones where he goes into action and he's just phenomenal inside of those sequences. Another thing the movie does really well is it builds momentum as it goes along. As you discover how the pieces are fitting together and which character is interacting with which person, what's happening, you get more and more invested in wanting to see how it's all gonna pay off, and all the stuff that it sets up absolutely leads to big moments of payoff. With that said, let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film. And the big thing here is actually what I just mentioned. It's good for a movie to build momentum as it goes along. It's good for a movie to end on a high note, but it felt like this film, it had such a build of momentum and intrigue that the beginning felt like it kind of meandered a little bit, especially by comparison to how good it gets in the second half of the film. From there, let's move on to the bad. And once again, building off what I just said, the first 30 or 40 minutes of the film drags a good bit, and it's by far the most confusing part of the film. It's told using this framing device involving the dialogue scenes between Hugh Grant and Charlie Hunnam, and because of this, it's so disjointed in the way that it's told and trying to be stylized at times, and you don't fully understand who the Hugh Grant character is and what the relationship is because the characters haven't fully been introduced yet. So I wasn't quite sure exactly what was going on, and so it took a while to feel like I got fully invested in the story. Now, once it got to a certain point in time where you understood the characters, the dynamics, and what was going on, I was all invested, but it took longer than it should have to get to that point in time. And a lot of that does go back to the framing device that they chose to use and the way it kicked things off. There's also a couple of reveals in the finale that I just thought were so obvious, I'm not even sure if they were supposed to be presented as reveals. It kind of played in the movie like one of the characters like, actually, this is what was really going on. And I was thinking, well, yeah, that was really obvious that that's what was happening inside of the movie. Did you think I didn't know that, or are you presenting the character as stupid? So it got confusing because some of these things were just so telegraphed. Real quick before I give you my final score, be sure to tell me what you thought down below in the comment section. Also, in a couple of days, I will be ranking all of the Guy Ritchie films, so if you've enjoyed his filmography, be sure to come back for that. Overall, this was a solid return to form for Guy Ritchie, showing that he's still got it, he can still write great characters and make a fun crime thriller. I'm gonna give this one a B+ overall. It's an 8 out of 10 on the entertainment scale, and if you're a Guy Ritchie fan, go see this movie. Be sure to come back in a few days as I share my take on his entire filmography. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.